Give an AI agent a real job. Build this app, design this page. It works hard and hands you something. Then you ask it the simplest question. Is this any good? And almost every time, it lights up and tells you it looks great, even when the thing in front of you is, plainly, mediocre. It's worst on the work that has no test to fail, like taste, design, and polish. But it shows up even when correctness can be checked. And the obvious fix barely helps. You tell the agent to be harder on itself, and it nods and praises the work anyway. So the real question isn't how to make an agent doubt itself. It's something stranger. How do you build judgment that the maker doesn't have? Here's a chef who's been tasting the same sauce since noon. Every so often, a pinch more salt. Taste. A pinch more. Taste. But something is happening that the chef can't feel. With each tiny addition, the palate quietly recalibrates. The sauce climbs toward a salt lick, and the tongue climbs right along with it. So when you ask, is it good? The answer is honest. Perfect. Perfect compared to 20 minutes ago, which is the only yardstick left. You can't fix this by telling the chef to taste more carefully. The blindness isn't carelessness. It's baked into the act of having made it, which is why a real kitchen puts a second cook at the pass. A fresh tongue, one that never sat in the sauce all afternoon. One taste, cold, too salty, redo. And here's the part that matters most. It is far easier to train that second cook to be ruthless than to give the original chef their palate back. The maker's judgment can't be unadapted, but a critic's standards can be taught. Now picture a student handed their own finished exam and a red pen. Even the honest ones drift generous. Not dishonesty, proximity. They reach question 4, and they read it like this. Yes, that's what I meant. And they award the marks for the idea in their head, not the words actually on the page. They literally can't see the gap, because they're the only person who holds both versions at once. What they meant and what they wrote. The reader only ever gets one of them. Telling them to grade objectively changes nothing. They're already being perfectly objective about the wrong thing. So you hand the exam to a different grader, someone who never sat the test, someone who has no idea what the student meant and can only mark what's physically on the page. And a real grader doesn't skim. They rework the problem. They check the steps. They poke at exactly the cases the student waved past. Last one, a detection dog working a luggage belt. You can train this dog to be suspicious of every single bag. And the remarkable thing is, the suspicion scales. More training, sharper nose, more catches. It's a dial you can turn toward paranoid. Now try the opposite. Train the traveler to suspect their own bag. You can't. They packed it. Their whole frame is, this is fine, I know what's in here. No amount of coaching installs real doubt about luggage. They assembled themselves. That asymmetry is the entire game. A dedicated skeptic is a knob you can crank. Self-suspicion in the maker is a knob connected to nothing. So you don't beg the packer to doubt themselves. You put a specialist on the belt, one whose only job is to find what shouldn't pass. It finds the flagged bag. It sits down hard, and it refuses to let it through. So here's what that separation actually looks like in a real system. It starts with a planner. You give it a single sentence, build a retro game maker, and it expands that into an ambitious, full product spec without locking down the fine details too early. Then the generator goes to work, building the app feature by feature. But before it writes a line for each chunk, it sits down with the evaluator, and the two agree on a contract. What done means, and how it'll be tested. The generator builds against that. Then the evaluator takes over. The fresh palette, the outside grader, the dog on the belt. It doesn't read the code and nod. It opens the running app and uses it, clicking through like a real user, filing specific failures against the contract. And every failure flows straight back to the generator as something concrete to fix. Maker, critic, a loop that finally has a direction to climb. But here's the twist the article ends on. Every piece of this scaffolding, the planner, the contracts, the evaluator, is really a bet about something the model can't do on its own yet. And models keep getting better. The newer one plans more carefully, stays coherent for longer, and catches more of its own mistakes. So pieces that were load-bearing yesterday quietly become dead weight. The discipline isn't to build the most elaborate harness. It's to keep stripping away the parts the model has outgrown, and to notice the new, harder things it can suddenly reach. The room for useful scaffolding doesn't get smaller as models improve. It just keeps moving and following where it moves next. That's the whole job.